I'll start with an intro for anyone that has no idea who the hell I am, which is probably going to be a lot of people in the future. Welcome, hello. I'm hosting this shit show of a long ship. I'm James. Instagram, it's ASM_Caber, CABAR. There's going to be two demographics that are going to be watching this live. The first demographic is going to be the kids that know me as Caber. That's the Airsoft world. I'll kind of go into that little background in a second. Then there's the other guys that know me as James or Jimmy, which is going to be from the actual shooting, or as the Airsoft kids like to call it, the real steel world. We just call it fucking gun world. God, what have I done with my life? Jesus. Army.
We all did.
Army from 2003 when I entered. First unit was 4th Platoon, Bravo Troop, 110 Cav, when it was still under the Aviation Brigade for 4th Infantry. I was for all the hip kids out there, I was a 19 Kilo, which is a Abrams tank crew member, specifically because I was the young idiot. I was the grunt, so I was the loader. First position, the lowest entry position on tank is always the loader. Tail end of the 4th Infantry Division's first OIF 1 or 2 push, I can't remember. After that, went up to G3 operations as an ops assistant for the second, because I loved it so much the first time. However, my current ex-wife didn't love that one. Anyway, the second tour as an ops assistant, and did some PSD gunner work as well for Colonel Kievanar, who was the 3-shop OIC at the time. The fuck else have I done? After that, got out, divorced the Army, and my ex-wife divorced me, so then there's that. Met Garrett as a critical infrastructures officer with Securitas, doing a fun, stupid government contract where I watched the whole series. Remember that when I was on the 24 kick? Work nights, did armed security for a government subcontract for, Jesus, how long did we do that? 3 years?
3-4 years.
Goosh. Quit that. Well, I didn't quit that. Got bored, missed the Army, joined the California Army National Guard under the 270th MP Company, which is where I met Tom, because I was actually Tom's first experience of what the National Guard was.
Oh, God.
You can fucking imagine
What an
that.
experience.
We'll go over that in a second. So did the Guard thing until 2016, got out of the National Guard as a staff sergeant, and the last thing Tom and I did together was Gitmo. We were the external security force. I was one of the platoon sergeants for the external security force at the JDG Gitmo at Guantanamo Bay. Did 8 years as a federal law enforcement officer with a DoD sub-agency in Tracy called the Defense Logistics Agency. God, how many instructor certs did I have there? I was the handcuffing instructor, agency handcuffing instructor under ASP, agency baton instructor under ASP, agency pepper spray instructor under Saber, which is a great company, by the way, great products, and California Post certified in active shooter response, and I was one of like three or four active shooter instructors there. In the civilian world, I had a bunch of NRA like basic instructor certs. Bro, those things haven't been active in years. I don't use them shits anymore. But what I was using was my NRA law enforcement handgun instructor certificate that I got, which then enabled me to be what am I now? PSI's firearms instructor. So currently I teach in California CCW classes. Yes, we do have concealed carry in California. And I've been doing specifically armed security guard training and certification for, bro, I think we've been doing this for like 12 years, 10 years. On the Airsoft side of the house, the assistant manager for a volunteer field called the Airsoft Ministry, which is the same way on Instagram and Facebook, which is based in Roseville, California, which is about 15 or 20 minutes north of Sacramento. Huge in, well, I'm not going to, okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm huge in the Airsoft world. I'm a big deal. And I also, more on the professional side of things, I work with a company, not for a company. I'm going to just put that out right now. It's a partnership. I'm a KWA law enforcement ambassador. KWA is probably, I'll say it's one of the top 3 biggest gun manufacturers for Airsoft worldwide. So if you're like, I wonder who I should listen to about using Airsoft guns for like actual firearms training. Hi, I'm a giant ass nerd, and that's literally what I've been basically doing with my entire life. Plus the competitive shooting I did. 4th place 2015. Jesus, what year did I take 4th in the state? I think it was like 2012 or 2014. I took fourth place in service pistol in the state of California. M9 pistol, 30 yards from the holster. Come get it. And then basically always top 10. I almost always placed, with the exception of the first time, placed top 10 in the state for service pistol. And the only guys I was losing to was like the head snipers and all that other stuff. Garrett, if you would please give your introduction. I understand you have let's do some notes. You have a law enforcement, contracting, and security background. If you'd like to educate the fine folks at home on that.
Went ahead and got into the law enforcement world at a pretty young age. Was doing that. Ended up going into, I think we did at the same time, quote me on that. But you were doing the NRA police instructor course while I was doing the post instructor course. Before that, did 2 stints in Afghanistan, 2 stints in Iraq, and 1 stint in Kosovo.
What company were you with?
Can't really disclose. It's not a super secret, crazy Blackwater. Wasn't that cool for Blackwater. First term was being an instructor for Kosovo, so we were doing that, and then I went down and had to teach the Iraqi police how to be police, which was hilarious. Went through the post-fire instructor, like you named. We both have our BSIS, so we started the Eagle Defense Company. So we do that. BSIS, post-firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor, the Eagle Defense thing with James, so. And I do the GLNL security training with myself and my wife, who are we're both firearms instructors on that defensive tactics instructors, like I mentioned. I am also involved with an executive protection company dealing with high net clients, and for that company, I am their firearms instructor and their defensive tactics instructor when they need me. So,
are you able to disclose your clients? Or are we just going to say they're big deals in the, let's say, the pop culture world?
We could say pop culture, social media, and
tech world.
Tech world.
But most of your contracts are based, or your clients are based in the California Bay Area.
For the most part, yes. So you're dealing with the areas. San Francisco's a big one, Santa Clara County, Southern California.
Like, these are people with influence on pop culture world.
Yes.
Tom.
Hey, what's going on?
Tom, how do you live your life? You didn't start at MP. What did you start life as?
In 2009, I joined the infantry. I was with 2ID up at Fort Lewis. It was 5th Brigade at the time, which they switched to 2nd Brigade. I actually went to Kandahar Air Base, if anyone's familiar with Afghanistan. Found myself Kandahar, and I was like, okay, this is my station. Not bad. Looks great. This is pretty cool. It's eye-opening. Like, there's a lot of stuff here. And they're like, oh, no, this isn't your station. Yours is then the Maywan province. Again, if anyone's been to Afghanistan, they know what probably Maywan province is. So I got back, squad designated marksman school. So 2012, I got out of the active duty Army life. I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, moved over to the National. I got E6, currently working on my 7 now. So now I'm a full-time employee for the National Guard at AGR, so Active Guard Reserve. I went to the CCM, combat match, California combat match, which Jimmy's been to.
That shooting, that's the state National Guard. So the actual title for that is the California State National Guard Shooting Championships.
Was it 14th overall in the tree gun, 9th overall in pistol. And then these are throughout the years. I've done, 10th place in overall in some of them. So
KWA, they have this at-home training kit, depending on the gun you want. So they have the ATP, which, so in Airsoft, for those who don't know, currently a company called Elite Force, which is a subsidiary of Umerix, is the only company for this, really as a whole, in the States at least, that has the licensing, the official licensing permission from Glock. So if you want an actual, and I'll switch this to Garrett in a second. So the ATP is like a G series pistol. Kind of the nice thing about the ATP not actually looking like a Glock pistol is if you're looking at it from like a professional training standpoint, there is no real feasible way to confuse an ATP with like a duty or a carry Glock. And as a trainer, that's something you always want to be very cognizant about for your safety environment is I want to make sure that my Airsoft Glock doesn't go in my duty holster outside of training for a CCW or for a duty use. They have a 1911. I'll see for anyone on the stream. Here's what the ATP looks like. Wow, they are out of stock. KWA, hurry up with that restock. They have the 1911 PTPM Mark IIs. I believe the dimensions of these are based off of the, I'm going to say the Springfield TRP operator pistol. So if you have a Springfield 1911 pistol, I am fairly positive that this airsoft gun will fit into that holster. And then they have my baby, the PTP M9. For this kit, those are the only 3 pistols available. However, if you want, you can assemble this kit from, I think, from other aspects of their website, but the full kit is only currently available in these 3 guns. KWA does make an M9A1 with a rail, but it's not specifically available in this kit. The other kind of groovy things they include, obviously, the green gas, which is shown here. They give you 1,000.25 BBs, which is really kind of a better weight, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of the 2s because of just the weight of the projectile. And they have these soda can-sized targets that are static targets. You could shoot, I mean, if anyone's seen any of the videos, this is what I've been using. And if you want to do, say you just want 6 targets, it's about $160 before shipping. I gave Tom a little 2-week present of some airsoft stuff. Tom, tell me about those products and what you thought about them.
The KWA weapons that you let us borrow, so you let us, my son and I, borrow. I have to say, at first, airsoft to me was kind of like, this isn't a real gun, Jimmy. Like,
same.
How am I supposed to, grasp fundamentals out of this thing, or even just take it seriously? And I have to say, after playing with those, I've definitely shot airsoft before. The 2 guns, or the 3 guns he gave us to use, I have to say, it's night and day compared to what we used to shoot. So a spring-loaded gun, shooting an airsoft gun is very fun, very good, toy-like, right? But when you get these more advanced guns like the KWA has, are so realistic, man, just how they're built, they feel like you're shooting the real thing. The weight, even the blowback on some of these are absolutely phenomenal. I was able to teach very basic fundamentals to my son in the backyard, just using the 9mm Beretta gas blowback airsoft gun. And to know that, like, to actually not put ear pro on, obviously we're eye pro, but to not do all that, not to bring him out to the range, make this a full day thing, I was able to go in the backyard, take the handgun, show him what's right, what's wrong, give him the basics, and then have him engage targets. Now, when we were engaging targets, to take these targets and actually have them bring in his shot group and engage with them, I have to say, man, that right there, not only is saving me money, but is saving us time, is giving us the preparation for the real thing. I have plenty of real guns that my son has shot, and it was definitely nerve-wracking for a 9-year-old to go out there and shoot an actual AR-15, or go out and shoot a 22 caliber version of the AR-15, or even a handgun. So to have the airsoft as a segue into shooting is phenomenal. It's such a good teaching technique, and I recommend any dad out there listening in to take this kind of seriously and teach your kids everything you can possibly teach them about fundamentals of shooting.
Garrett recently purchased, you got a couple things. You have a Laser USA setup and an Elite Force Glock series pistol. Tell me about those things.
My thoughts on airsoft were a little skewered, I guess you could say.
That's fair.
From what I've done in law enforcement. Now, when we were in law enforcement, they would give us airsoft guns to do certain things. Like if we had a vehicle dynamics assault course, they would give all the guys on the team these airsoft guns, just because they really got tired of us shooting the patrol cars. So
that could be an issue, yeah.
It kind of gets expensive. So you got all these professional SWAT guys that are shooting cars, which I don't understand. Move from that, and now we're getting into these airsoft guns. And back when I was doing it, again, there's a little bit of age difference. So we had these guns that totally changed our manual of arms. So it's was a situation where, okay, if I know I'm issued a Glock from my department, which was our standard issue, okay, this is sort of like a Glock. It won't fit in your holster. It doesn't load the same. It doesn't shoot the same. And every gun that you get in the airsoft community back then was a pump action. No matter if it was an M4 setup, a bolt, a pistol, you always had to pump it to make it work. So I was a little skeptical. With that being said, picking this up for the first time, I was like, wow, this is a very different change to what I'm used to as far as the airsoft world. So if this is what the airsoft world is putting out, I could throw my money on this. So the gun feels exactly the same, with the exception of I did a minor change, and I posted that video on the Eagle Defense website with my son shooting the targets. The barrel that comes with it is shooting the BBs. Now the difference between me and James is that I have 3 kids and 2 dogs, so I don't want them eating the airsoft pellets all the time. So I got this other really nice setup from Sure Strike, and it's basically a laser barrel. So with that being said, you would still do everything the same you would with your airsoft setup with this laser barrel. The cool thing about this is you can just set this up in your garage, and if I just ride this thing home, and James, I don't know if you can see the target.
I can.
But if I go ahead and press on that target and shoot it, I'm going to get that accurate. I hit the target. They're going to let me know I hit the target. No mess, no BBs. Obviously, I'm not using the green gas, but you could fill this up with green gas the same way you would, and get to practicing with this with the reciprocal barrel. A reciprocal slide, just like you would with any other firearm. Sort of getting into the world of airsoft, but I don't want to go and do all that yet.
Right.
And
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, with the current issue with not being able to go anywhere, or just go to a range or whatnot, or even get ammo. One of the big things that I've seen with students that I have is that the students that do the best aren't the operators, aren't the Army guys, aren't the Marine Corps guys, or the military guys. And no offense to them, what they do great. The guys that I see that excel, believe it or not, were the airsofters in my class, because they've already had the fundamentals down, and airsoft is a sort of dry fire exercise. Right. And the guys that do the best on the range are always the guys that do the dry fire. And there's so many things out now where I believe that airsoft has evolved, where at one point in time I was like, I'm not really sure about this, to the point now where these guys are hiring guys like yourself to be a law enforcement ambassador and to say what works and what doesn't work. So is this almost real? Is this close to real? And they're trying to get it as close to the real thing as they can. So now you have the ability to pick up something like, a regular, Glock 19, which has been safety checked, so we know it's empty. But if I'm getting this gun and I'm deciding, okay, I'm going to get this airsoft gun and go ahead and throw it in this holster, it's going to work with everything I'm using. So this would be my duty setup when I'm going to work. So can I not practice this with said laser targets and get my dry fire practice in when I can't shoot live?
Question for both of you. Tom will start with this answer. So before you experienced the products that I've provided you with, basically, so before that, what was your thought when you heard of basically about airsoft? What went through your mind? What products were you thinking of? What was the quality of those products? And now that you have an actual experience with present day, dare I say, mid to high level airsoft products, what are your thoughts? Tom, before and after, go.
Yeah, I had a lot of experience, well, not a lot of experience, but just experience shooting airsoft guns. Growing up as a kid, say 18, 20 years ago, airsoft was a brand new thing, and it was all spring-loaded stuff, stuff made in China typically. So it was definitely a toy. It was definitely a toy, and a very realistic gun. So then, the idea of actually having a realistic-looking gun that's not a gun is kind of dangerous. So I think the airsoft world really just died down for a while, and then just not too long ago, I feel like probably within the last 5-6 years, it's starting to make a real big comeback in the world. But it made a comeback with such an advanced features. So originally thinking about it, I was like, Airsoft to me wasn't the kind of thing you're going to get any type of education from. You're not going to get any type of fundamentals from it. You could probably learn safety from it, like learning not to point the barrel at someone's face, but you really can't get a whole lot out of it. And then after getting educated by Jimmy, as far as, hey, there's a whole nother world out here, and it is advanced. Even that laser target that you have there, Garrett, like I've never seen that before. I've seen ideas of that before, like they use that target that has like a sticky back, so like the BBs will stick to the sticky, like it'll stick to the foam. So they had those, but that right there is impressive, and I'm probably going to invest my money into that. Taking something of that nature, this technology, and even applying that to the military aspect, like all these new shooters that come in, or even just shooters that are just not experienced, like taking that and showing them at anticipation, showing them the trigger squeeze, showing them the sight picture, and really lining everything up for them without that mental breakdown that a lot of these people have on the range. And for a lot of new shooters, I'm sure you guys can attest that that the mental breakdown that some of these people have, just even holding the gun, is insane. Like, they know which way the dangerous end is, but they still have that feeling of like fight or flight, or the death feeling of like, this can kill something, this can kill myself, And I've seen a lot of shooters literally throw down their gun, like drop their gun or set it down and walk away because it was just too much for people to handle. But
it's real.
And I think I think it's baby steps too. I don't think they're untrainable like people or soldiers. I just think that introducing them to this type of technology, this type of fundamentals of shooting, is such a entrance level that can be expanded from front to back. Like you could take a brand new shooter, teach them everything, and you could take a veteran shooter and just improve skills with that type of technology.
As far as the Glock, I can't talk. I can talk for days about it, honestly. But great tool. The situation with this gun is that the way it pulls down, it field strips like a regular Glock. You just take out the barrel that it comes with, which is that airsoft barrel. With my daughters, it was one of those. I see how the gun jumps. It kind of scares me. And even though you got the green gas that James kind of introduced me to, and yeah, it's going to blow back, but it's not going to blow back like an actual firearm. It gives you the kind of bare essentials of how a firearm acts without all of the rough force. So introducing this setup to my daughters got them to go to the range. The real firearms industry is moving forward, evolving. We're not still using halogen lights. We're using LEDs. We're not using wad cutters. We're using stuff like Hornady Critical Defense that has a polymer head or whatnot. And with Airsoft, it had a stagnant thing that, like you were talking about earlier, Tom, where it was just like, okay, this is this cheap thing that came from somewhere, and we're not really digging this for our training our soldiers, Marines, and cops or military personnel, because it doesn't really adapt to what we're doing. It doesn't translate. So they're starting to get to a point now where they're translating this this marketing scheme into, okay, well, if they're carrying Glocks or they're carrying Berettas or they're carrying SIGs, why don't we make it as close to a derivative of that weapon that these guys are using so that it translates easily?
Both of you guys, it would be fair to say that prior to you guys experiencing more modern Airsoft products, you didn't really have the highest expectations for Airsoft products, but now that we go into basically the 21st century Airsoft stuff, your expectations have been, basically your standards have been blown out of the water, and you're very impressed. And additionally, it sounds like, Garrett, it sounds like that you're okay with the felt recoil, at least of Airsoft handguns, not being as drastic as that 1-to-1 ratio with an actual pistol, because of that reduced recoil. Now it's a more effective training tool for, say, a beginning shooter, because they're so terrified of that actual recoil that an Airsoft gun's recoil is actually more, matches up better, I would say, to a new shooter. Would you say that's accurate, Garrett?
Yeah, I would say that, and it's just the you're taking out the factor, and of course, can an Airsoft gun hurt you? Yeah, but is it going to cause great bodily injury or death? Probably not. So your students, especially my new students, I'm sure yours too, but are not really so scared. And I've seen the change from, oh my God, I got a real gun in my hand, even if it's a 22, to, oh, this just shoots plastic. Okay, I'm okay with this. So getting them to get comfortable with that and then transitioning from airsoft to live fire is easier than going from just giving them a live fire gun and having them dry fire, because they're just used to click, click, click. But now this airsoft is, I believe it's green gas.
Yeah.
So now they're getting that little jump into it, and the recoil is felt, even though it's very little, but it's still enough to go, okay, this has got something, so I got to adjust to this.
Tom, kind of the same piggyback, basically. So you're okay, or excuse me, before I dropped off all the fun products to you, you didn't have the highest expectations for airsoft products, but now that you've specifically got a chance to handle KWA products, specifically that KWA at-home self-defense kit, and even the Mod 1, which is more of like a fun recreation gun, you have a very high standard, or a very high confidence, basically, in airsoft products, and you're okay with that recoil not being that, like, still with some umph to it, but not as drastic, because you can still use it in the backyard.
Exactly. Yeah. So that recoil, that anticipation that everybody has, is probably everyone's worst fear when they're shooting. It's definitely a drawback. As far as an instructor, it is so hard to tell somebody, don't over anticipate. It is, you can't teach that. Yeah, about that. There's ways to teach it, but there's ways, and it's frustrating. But with that small little bit of blowback from that gun, my 9-year-old can literally feel okay shooting it. Like, he has no problem shooting it, and he knows the anticipation's coming. You can actually still teach it when he anticipates that shot with the gas blowback. But it is not nearly what actual 1-to-1 would be on a handgun.
No.
But it's definitely that introduction to it, and that's why I'm really drawn to it. It's an introduction to good fundamentals of shooting.
We'll start with Garrett. So other than the products, so away from the products, right?
Okay.
If someone were to tell you, maybe if they're a guard or a cop or whatever, or even just a regular person not affiliated with the professional world, I'm an airsofter, I play airsoft. Garrett, what are the assumptions you make in your mind about that kind of person and what they do?
Well, they've dramatically changed from the beginning to where I'm at now. And I think there's this big problem. I think you probably know it better than I do, but I do see it where you get your military and your law enforcement professionals, and they're looking at these guys that are airsofting. And the first time I got introduced to Airsoft Kill House and seeing these guys, it scared the crap out of me, because here I am in my, regular jeans and a t-shirt, and these guys are coming out in ghillie suits and all this shit. So they get very involved, and I think there's been this big rift, and I see this getting a little bit closer, and it's changing, where people would make fun of the airsoft community a lot. I know I did as well. Like, what is this stuff? But I don't see why we would be making fun of the guys and the kids and the younger guys that are going to be our replacements when we get older and actually hopefully get to retire. So these guys that are getting to the military, get to law enforcement, they're probably starting off in the airsoft community, and they're going to have better tools now, with the hiring of people like that are law enforcement ambassadors, teaching them tactics like you do at the ministry. And these are real world tactics, real world fundamentals that we're teaching them. And I think that we should take these guys seriously. I mean, we are using it in the law enforcement world now, and it saves on money, it saves on bullets, it saves on shooting cars, and injury, fatalities, all that stuff's going down in training.
Tom, same question. If let's say you get a guy fresh out of basic. Let's just go with this right off the bat. Get a kid right out of basic, his first day of drill, and he tells you he's an airsofter. What is going through your mind about this new private?
So Dave, like present day?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Like,
correct.
Okay, so before I would literally probably, kind of look at him like, oh, it's one of those Call of Duty kind of airsoft kids. Like, okay, cool, whatever. No big deal. Now with this education that I got from you and just kind of understanding the technology, it's like I have capital on that now. I'd be like, okay, well, guess what? How good are you? First off, let's go ahead and talk about, what he actually has learned. basing it off of that, I would start taking advantage of that, trying to bring that airsoft community into modern day teaching. We in the military, we have other forms of training that are kind of similar to airsoft. Like we have the sim round, if anyone's familiar with the sim round. We also have now, they're like projectors that go up, and we do projector training. So we're shooting at basically video game targets. So we're getting the video game type of technology training involved now. But I think the one that we are definitely needing to capitalize on is the airsoft version of it. It would be something that I would definitely encourage and bring into my little circle of training. James used to be an instructor for the 270th. Not instructor per se, but you were just somebody that we looked at as, okay, that's the guy that's going to take this new soldier and he's going to give them proper training to actually go and accomplish the Army standard target qualification. We call it the IWQ. So, having these guys that are uneducated, that don't understand weapons, and teach them the fundamentals the hard way, like Jimmy did, the old, ritualistic style of teaching, it is definitely something I want to bring more to the table. If I started to get involved in this a little bit more, I'm going to try bringing these guns into our training. And I know that's more of a funding piece. Like I have to definitely get funded for that. But getting these, I think, will have such a tactical advantage as far as being an instructor.
I can help with that. I see this more in the military world, specifically in the combat and the MP world with the Army and the Marines. It is fairly common for someone with some rank to come up with you and say, hey, I need you to teach these kids how to qualify. And you ask them, okay, where are the guns? Like, no. You don't get any training tools. You just have to figure out how to do this with literally nothing. And then, and then it's very common for, let's say you're out in a field somewhere on an AT, or you're just on a Styx or an FTX lane somewhere, and someone will just walk up to you and go, hey, we're going to do CQB lanes in the next 2 hours. We're about to go out to the kill house. I want you to start doing glass drills. Now, what glass drills are a poor man's CQB training module, which is literally when you draw lines in the dirt that represent a room, and you do CQB entry drills in dirt lines. So airsoft was really kind of a nice bridge between the gap. We could almost think of it like an enhanced dry fire system. Is that fairly accurate, Tom?
Oh yeah, no, most definitely.
Fucking
those glass houses, man. I have to say, it is some training there. There's some to be had, but man, I'll take that over a PowerPoint slideshow all day long.
Bro.
That was a thing the military pushed for a very long time was, we don't have the tools to teach. Here's a PowerPoint, and this will teach you everything you need to know about CQB, or everything you need to know about how to engage targets with an M9 Barrett. Again, you can get training or any type of information or education from anything, but man, going back to what you said, Jim, it's crazy to like, hey, go teach these 10 guys to go engage targets without a gun or without anything. Just go and give them your brain for a few minutes. It's like, what can I tell them at that point? And it's so difficult. It's very an archaic way of teaching.
Tom, would you say, going back to the training piece, let's talk about specifically for the Army, because that's going to be our wheelhouse between you and I. Would you say that it is kind of the way that it is because basically when it comes to weapons training for like the 10 level, the conventional, so let's say like the infantry company or the conventional soldier, they either have actual guns to use or nothing. Would you say that it's kind of like a very black or white spectrum and there's really no training product kind of in the middle of that?
Yeah, most definitely. I think it comes down to obviously the location where you're at or what company you work for. But when you're trying to actually be a teacher and take pride in being a teacher, a mentor, a senior leader, a advisor, an instructor, you have to take all of your heart and put it into it. If you don't, then there's nothing to be had. But yeah, so I've ran into where they're like, there's nothing here. We can't possibly teach anything to where we actually have actual training, tools. So Jimmy, you went from nothing to bringing something to the table because your heart was into it completely.
Now, for the training events that you guys have been doing around your house, I know Tom, I gave you those metal targets. This will be a question for both Tom and Garrett. Other than those metal targets and Garrett, other than that laser ammo stuff, what have you guys been using for targets? Tom, we'll start with you. Are you just using, other than like your son?
Other than my son.
Yeah, other than your son and those metal targets, what are you using for an actual target?
Well, this is funny actually, and this is not rehearsed. You didn't even know about this. So
what did I just do?
Then the next day, after you drop everything off, Jaden went in the back, my son, and he's like, "Dad, I want to go shoot. I want to go shoot these." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, no problem." And I'll set him up. I set everything up, and he wasn't shooting. And I'm like, "Where did he go?" I looked in the house. He's at his desk, and he's literally drawing monsters on a piece of paper.
Yes.
Just faces of monsters. So he's taking these zombie-like creature faces, and he's coloring them. He's doing the whole shebang. And we set up cardboard boxes and taped them to the cardboard box. And my son's back there just killing it, man. Those targets, it's endless. You can have targets all day long. You can make whatever you want. Back when I was a younger kid, I used to do a lot of archery. And we set up hay bales, you'll set up cardboard, you'll set up whatever you can, like you can shoot at and get away with shooting at home. And so I think it's the same for Airsoft, it's the same for anything. You just set up anything that you think is going to benefit you as a shooter to properly engage a target.
You guys were using paper targets and the metal targets. If I understand correctly, you were only shooting in the backyard, which means your backdrop was basically the fence, so a wooden fence. So your backdrop was wood, right? You didn't do any rounds in the house or in the living room, probably because your wife would like the fuck out of here with that shit.
No, I would have been. I'd probably be divorced.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I keep it outside, and I'm having a hard time with it too, though. Just with the mess. But if you have a designated area, there's like certain types of designated areas you can shoot in my backyard at least. And you design it however you want. So my overall goal at some point is to make a lane. Obviously, the shooting and moving is going to be a little bit more difficult, but having a lane where I can actually set it up and have my son, pick up and do these ready up drills. So like ready up, safety off, and shoot. Or, and then safety back on, clear your weapon, and load back up, re-engage.
Garrett, you were using the laser targets, shooting in the garage. Was that pretty much the only environment you were using for training, just those laser targets in your garage?
I was using a laser. That's pretty much the safest as far as cleanup goes. But as far as actually shooting, of course, because since you bought me that gun, I got to do both. So I got to do the laser, and I got to shoot the bees.
Right.
So I took one from your book, and I just think my wife's asleep, but shot her pots. So using the pots, of course. So we're doing that, and we're also engaging just paper targets that I have kind of taped up against the wall, so you can use that SIRT gun or that laser dot from the laser barrel to see where I'm hitting. So that's working pretty well. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as for that going. But I mean, you could technically, if you can find it, it's not live, you're not earning nothing, your target's foreground and background, you can pretty much use anything you want. Just like Tom was saying, I'm also a fellow archery guy, so hay bales, all that stuff is pretty much something that we can all use. So it's you can kind of use anything.
But right. Garrett, what have you been using other than Airsoft? What has been your experience, either as an instructor, as a student, with force-on-force training products, either sims or whatever else you can think of?
Well, we can go off of just from the academy to when I was on the warrants team for my department, on top of what we were doing at the place that we can't talk about, that securing a little piece of America, which I do remember at about 3 yards, that you and another one of our
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, I remember that one.
Shot the crap out of me with the simunitions.
Sim guns. That's right. We did use sims.
Yes.
So there's sim rounds. Have
Sim
you used
rounds we
sims
have.
outside of what we were doing back then?
Yeah. So at the academy, we use the fast machine, so the simulator over
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
So those are pretty good because it still has that reciprocating slide,
Yeah.
and we can set it up on the computer to, hey, you got a failure. What are you gonna do? So you got that tap.
But for
rack
you doing
says-
force against a live suspect, what products have you used? So not simulators.
So paintball, the Sims, obviously the little soap rounds we were using. That's pretty much it. Paintball and Sims were pretty much a big thing. Airsoft was, we played with it, but back then
Technology wasn't that great.
Technology wasn't that great at that time.
So Tom, same question with you. What other products have you used, either as an instructor, as a student, other than Airsoft? Like, have you used paintball? I know we've used Sims before.
Well, a lot of it for my training, going back to that archaic training, you use what you got, and a lot of it, yeah, sim rounds were a thing. Definitely started to become a thing. I have to say, 8 years ago, give or take. I got some pretty decent training with sims. We never used paintball or airsoft in any of my training. Going back to just basic fundamentals, we do the dime drills, like penny drills and all that too. So
dry fire drills.
Dry fire drills. And man, that's all we had to work with, and they work though.
So basically nothing because y'all was pole.
We all, yeah.
So as far as like one private versus another private face to face, there's not a whole lot of products that you guys have had consistently. So pretty much, so it's fair to say that most of the training you guys are doing right now for force-based stuff is simulator-based, not person-to-person. Okay. Well,
if we were to get, I know we're getting person-to-person. It's definitely like shoot, bang, bang kind of stuff. Just the money is not there. It's definitely probably the richest. As far as money goes, the military is definitely the richest. But some of the training that we're not getting, actually, all of that encompassed training like you guys are getting with more of the paintball, the sim rounds, the airsoft, and for at least my company, because I do take a lot of pride teaching, I'm going to try and move towards airsoft, and we do get to use the shoot houses.
Your friend can help with that.
Yeah. I got. We just got introduced to the JPA. There's a shoot house that we actually go to that a lot of SWAT team uses. Local law enforcement agencies. No, here in Sacramento.
Oh, the McClellan one.
The McClellan one.
Yeah.
And then we do have San Luis Obispo as well. So that's in our pocket. But again, does it come down to dry fire training, and it comes down to shoot, bang, bang, like you're dead.
So as far as the products, airsoft products overall, what, Garrett, we'll start this with you. As far as airsoft products, what are you still curious about, or what questions do you have about airsoft products as training tools? Garrett, we'll start that one with you.
There's a couple. I like to see where the evolution of it's going, as far as they're getting so close to what we're using actually for real world operators. So just to see exactly what they're going to be putting out, how they're going to make it as realistic as they can.
So you're pretty happy with the products right now. You're just still like waiting to see what's going on with it.
Yeah, for sure. As far as it goes, like where this is excelling for me, as far as the airsoft and where we're teaching, it's when we're teaching advanced drills to law enforcement officers, where we're having them, essentially get said firearm, and if we're talking about close quarter contact, and we're having them grab the weapon as like what's called the G-wrap, where you have to take that shot here. A lot of people aren't really comfortable doing this live fire. So if we can get them to do it in the airsoft first, look at them, observe their safety, see how they're doing it. Worst comes to worst, they're going to tap themselves with the BB. It's going to hurt, but they're still going to have all their digits. So we can have them go through that technique with the airsoft gun first and make sure they're safe, and we can move them on to live fire where they're going to be that much more successful. So I think as far as it goes, I like where it's going.
You're pretty happy.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Tom, same question for you. As far as the actual airsoft products themselves, what are still some things you're curious about as a training product?
As far as out of like airsoft aside, like other training products,
As
or
far
air,
as using the current products that I've gave, like what is still kind of on your mind or in the back of your mind that if I were to give you, say, a box of KWA guns, and you look at these guns, what are you going to be curious about as far as the capabilities of those products? So this is more about products than implementation, kind
well,
of.
to me, even like the first idea of airsoft is the quality of it, and that's where it comes down. Like you're gonna have people doing some hard training with these kind of this type of tool. Is it gonna withstand being dropped? Is it gonna withstand getting wet, get dirt on it? You know, and so are they gonna break? That's definitely my overall would be my first stress about it. If I'm gonna put money into it, I don't want something like that to break. But so looking at the quality that you showed me, it feels and looks like a real handgun. They are made of metal or type of alloy or aluminum, some type of metal. But
Metalish.
I'm happy with the quality of product, and I'm just excited to see the more advanced version of these tools. You know, like what's the next step for airsoft now? Like where is it going? I think we're just scratching the surface with the airsoft world.
That's fair.
I want to bring this down, to my company and train soldiers with it. So I'm going to have to know, like, as far as all of its capabilities. And so far, what I've tested has been awesome.
So if you look at like simunitions as a product, if you look at their company, kind of their structure, they kind of have an infrastructure to them. Meaning, you can go to what is it, like a 3-day simunitions in like an instructor course, whatever the hell. But basically, it's an infrastructure that kind of shows you how to implement those products into an ongoing training program or like a TTP. Would you like to see something similar to that in airsoft? Because from what I've seen, it's very common for an agency just to get a box full of guns and to be like, okay, here's some stuff. Good luck with figuring out how to throw this into your training programs. So would you like to see maybe not like a full, like everyone gets together like a conventional class, but maybe it'd be just like maybe a PowerPoint or a video series or something? Would you like to see some sort of instructor aid or some sort of implementation aid to help Tom or Garrett or someone implement those products into those, kind of like a lessons learned system, basically? Tom, what are your thoughts on an infrastructure like that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. You can capitalize on that all day long. But as far as the trainer, I think is what you're looking at. Kind of getting that familiarity with somebody that has that subject matter knowledge is it would be phenomenal to have that in place. So far, like going into like a SOP or a standard operating procedures, it's like when you talk about the procedure of the weapon and putting it in place with training. You're going to benefit from it, and you're going to be able to take that tool and be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can use that tool now into something else in my training atmosphere. So having somebody with that knowledge or that type of awareness with it would be amazing.
Garrett, kind of the same question for you. Would you like to see a company, KWA or whatever company wants to do it, even maybe not a non-affiliated airsoft company, just someone put out some sort of maybe a digital library or basically the equivalent to what we would refer to as a train the trainer series or an instructor course, maybe not face-to-face online, maybe it could be a digital platform, but would you like to see some sort of infrastructure like that with airsoft products? Garrett.
I think that would be great. Honestly, I think that's where they're going with it. If you look at a lot of the stuff they're doing right now, especially with the interactive laser ammo, these guys are getting in touch with guys like us. They're getting in touch. Well, with you, yeah, they've touched you up and kind of like said, hey, we want you to be our ambassador. So they're starting to understand that it's just not about, the younger generation using this. Yeah, we have a strong emphasis on the younger guys using this product, but we also do have a strong emphasis on law enforcement military application with this product, and it's moving forward with that. So I think they're doing a good job right now, blending in, doing what they're doing, and kind of making it all kind of work together with the hiring of guys that actually have been there, done that. We're not just getting guys that are with experience in, I just want to be an airsofter, and not to knock them, but they're getting in touch with the guys that have experience like you and Tom and myself.
Years ago, when I was still an agency instructor, KWA Performance, when I was still working for DLA as an active shooter instructor, we started. So what got me really into this was we were using airsoft, but we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We didn't have a clue in the world about. We didn't know about maintenance. We just bought them, and we bought. The brand we bought were KJW, which is like tier level airsoft guns, especially for what we were trying to use it for. So I just started Googling and procrastinating writing a report, which all of that Googling ended up bringing me to, where's the Chrome browser? Boom! It brought me to the KWA website. And what I noticed was KWA, more than any other, G&G didn't do it, Crytek didn't have this, Elite Force didn't have this. They were using, and you guys can't see it, but on the guys watching the stream can. They had a specific section of their website that was tailored specifically to the law enforcement and the training community. They hadn't done a whole lot with it at the time, and actually just looking at it now, they've actually updated a lot of this. But no one else had really streamlined or had really had seen the potential for airsoft as agency training products. KWA jumped on it. I was like, oh, I want to get diggity down on this. So that's what got me basically. At least that's how I got sights on with that company. Tom, do you think you will ever get into airsoft recreationally? Go.
Oh, well, as you know, you refer to me as an adult all the time. I'm more adulting.
Yeah. Once you can get some time off.
Time off is definitely a rare thing.
And by time off, I don't mean your TDY.
Yeah, I know, right? No, so I actually love the atmosphere of the airsoft world. It brought me back to when I was younger, out shooting paintball or actually just hanging out with my friends. But it was a really good time. The times I did have at the church with you and all the other kids there and the guys. And I definitely would see it as something that maybe, so going to the range, getting trigger timing, because that could get expensive and can be time consuming. I like to see myself out there for sure.
Garrett, do you think you're ever going to start playing like recreationally, just for the fun of it?
We have a couple out here actually. We have one at Fairfield, one at Vallejo, I believe. American Canyon and Dixon all have them. So it's a very target-rich environment if I wanted to. Now, can I get past that I'm in my 40s and out of shape? I don't know. Was this something that I should do, and it's something that I'm interested in? Yes, for sure. It's just gonna, add to my ability to be an instructor and, actually say, hey, you know what, I've done this and I'm keeping up with all the time. It's kind of like being a gym instructor, but you're not picking up weights. You should actually practice what you preach. So I think I should. So, and it is interesting. So we have to go from there.
Taking one of the questions from the Instagram, who is asking this? ShareSofter_45. For gas pistols, would enhancing the blowback aid in the effectiveness of a training situation? Tom, your thoughts? Enhancing the blowback.
Yeah. Enhancing the blowback, so making it stronger?
Correct.
Most definitely. And that goes, I think, into the level of training. So as far as somebody that just started, I would definitely start them off with the basic low-level blowback. To get to your most realistic blowback of a gun, you're just going to see better responses from your actual mind. So the way your brain actually encounters the feeling of a blowback. If you get to that point where you're doing these training aids, having the blowback go back that far or that hard on your hand definitely just attunes you to being a better shooter in the real gun world.
Garrett, so, yes, same question definitely for you. Do you think that enhancing the blowback or the recoil of the airsoft guns would enhance their effectiveness as a training tool? Garrett.
I kind of would go back to exactly what Tom is saying. I think that it would be better to, if we have a said firearm, this airsoft, or whatever it is that we're creating this blowback with, and it acts like the gun we're carrying, I think that's great. Do I think the technology's there? I'm not sure. I know these guns are pretty durable, but they're not. I don't know if they're as durable yet. You'd have to be able to answer that question. But I think that if we can make any type of changes to make it similar to how we're doing it in real life, we should go with that one. Good question.
My buddy Captain Momo on Instagram, Cap Momo, use GBBR LM4 and compare it to an actual AR. To compare the 1-to-1 off the top of my, it's similar. It's the 1-to-1 ratios, like the manipulations are there. It's about as spot on as you can get with an airsoft gun. The recoil is pretty good, and the sound and stuff's pretty good. On the Eagle Defense, on the Facebook page itself, I actually shoot a KWA LM4. It's a custom, spec'd out a little bit more. It's that white gas rifle that I played with in Lodi. All right, we are going to end the stream soon. Garrett, where can they find you if they want to ask you questions? How can people get a hold of you?
Eagle Defense website. Go to the Eagle Defense website where me and James are both located, and feel free to ask your questions there, or look at GNL security training, and that's always a thing. And that's pretty much it.
If anyone wants to hit me up on Instagram, it is ASM_Caber, the easiest way to get a hold of me. This will be archived to Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Caberup, CABERUP. I believe this will archive also to the Eagle Defense Facebook, so that's going to be facebook.com/EagleDef. And I'm also going to try to download this and re-upload it back to my Caberup. What is that platform? Fuck. The YouTube, that thing. And we are going to say goodbye. I will end the stream in 5, 4.